to the Best Overall Show, or as we call it, the BO Show, because we stink. No Noah today. He had some work stuff going on, so it'll just be myself, Kasra, and the legendary Jack Harpster of Art of War.
Hello, hello. Glad to be on.
And Ryan, we are never late, nor are we early. We start precisely when we mean to. Okay.
That's right. Best overall wizards over here.
Yeah. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, just grinding it out. I'm ashamed to say this, and there will be no pictures of this. I got my army battle ready for LVO.
Wow.
Just battle ready?
Just battle ready. Well,
Not
I've been
gorgeous?
busy. I've been busy painting commissions. I've got a lot of work stuff on the go. In fact, I am flying out on Sunday to go to London for a work conference. And I'm basically ping-ponging back. Thursday, I land back in Vancouver, grab my stuff, fly back out to Vegas.
Fun.
So, no time. But yeah, it's shameful. Like, we are the best overall show. I'm a painter at heart.
Now you just got to win the event, I guess.
I guess so. I guess so.
Buff up those numbers. Battle points, not hobby.
Exactly. Well, that's why I brought you on. You're gonna just tell me everything I need to know to win, right, Jack?
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I'll do my best.
But yeah, that's been me, Joe. Beyond that, I've been really busy playing a lot of TTS because I made it onto Team Canada.
Wow.
Let's go.
Congratulations, brother.
Yes.
Thank you. I am among some legendary Canadian company over here. Another fellow Art of War member as well, Ridvin, Scary Martinez. But yeah, no, I have never played so much goddamn TTS in my life, and that includes Go. So it's been an experience, literally playing a game right after we sign off this too. So
Yeah, I have a quota of 6 TTS games a month for Team USA.
A quota
Yeah.
of how many? Oh, 6. Okay, I thought you said 60. I was like, that's not even.
That's a lot. And I mean, to be honest, 6 it's a hell of a lot. And that's going to be a change of pace. But it means that, if we need a faction expert, we'll have one.
Oh.
there you go. Well, and you're usually playing a lot of Warhammer during the week, aren't you?
Yeah, but not quite as focused as that. I need to, on 2 factions, I need to get 3 games a piece a month, on top of whatever else I do for work.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but as I said, it means that when we reach into our bag and say, "Hey, what do the Knight players say?" They're getting their games in. They know.
Absolutely. No, it's a trip. WTC, man. It's another level.
Oh, it's crazy, but it is the best time on this earth. So,
Yeah.
playing 40K, just can't do better.
I couldn't agree more. Joe, what about you? What you been working on?
I finished some knobs, power claws, and a war boss in mega armor. Because
Beautiful.
My list is bad.
Well, it's beautiful.
What are these knobs with? Knobs are good.
Yeah.
Knobs are real good.
But yeah, I knocked these guys out.
Ooh.
Yeah, that kit is a little dated for the knob kit, but other than that, it literally doesn't come with the correct number of power claws.
No, it comes with like 3, and then you can use the power stabba and like a claw. Yeah,
Which they can't even take anymore. Those aren't even weapon options for.
Well, there you go. They can do
sounds like
whatever
their
you
power
need them to
claws
be.
to me.
And
That's my
guy,
good.
the knob that's in the new boys kit, the guy who's in the middle here on the bottom floor, his claw, it just looks backwards to me. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to go, but I don't know. That just doesn't look right to me. It's been
looks
really
great to
irritating me.
Joe. I know. I see what you're saying. And I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought that was just the camera mirroring.
Yep, no, it's just really bizarre, and yeah. Other than that, yeah.
Bases. Did you get inspiration from our conversation with Mr. Gagnon last time?
I did, but what do you notice about these bases?
I noticed they're square.
They
Seems a
are
little odd.
square. Yeah.
So we're doing some Doom Kings, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, buddy. I think I'm gonna throw a little a Grelin Earth on there too, and give it some in the low parts to give it some kind of crackled dry space. But
I like that.
yeah, man. I got some Tomb Kings. I randomly bought some Tomb Kings the other day, and I got some Wood Elves sitting on the shelf. I'm gonna probably be cracking those two out. So excited, man.
Exciting.
Going through Old World rules. That's just like how far 40K has come from like customizing the shit out of your characters.
So like, let me ask, because I just haven't had time, and like, I'm an old fantasy player. Bretonia was my army.
Boo!
Well, hey, that just means we can play the starter box together. But like, are the rules any different from 8th edition fantasy, or is it?
Yeah, they did like the same thing with the magic phase that they did with the psychic phase in 10th edition, where it's just like,
all right,
in the spread out throughout the rest of the turn sequence, and like there's some little things like initiative is there's no longer like fights first, fights last. It's just things give modifiers to initiative. So like charging gives you like +3 if you moved more than 3 inches. So that kind of thing, but it's pretty similar still.
You can figure it out on behalf of both of us, and then you can go kick my Bretonians' heads off.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that.
I remember I used to have a high elf army back in 8th edition.
Ooh,
nice. Banner of the World Dragon?
Yeah, you better believe a Banner of the World Dragon. That's
what
right.
unit did you put that on? Because that was
Silver
the
Helms.
choice. Silver Helms.
Yeah, I didn't put on White Lions. The White Lions were pretty cool, but I went for the Silver Helms.
You know what unit I liked it on, and I bullied my friend Dirk into doing?
What?
The Phoenix Princes or Dragon Princes.
Phoenix Guard? Dragon Princes.
Dragon Princes.
Yeah, Dragon Princes. I had a bunch of Dragon Princes. I actually bounced the banner back and forth between Silver Helms and Dragon Princes.
That's how I know you're
those
real
guys
on Jack Harpster.
Yes, those guys rocked. You get that to the end of a dwarf artillery gun line, and you throw a black sun or a purple sun. Sorry, not
purple
black sun.
sun.
Purple
sun
down the line.
Woo!
Adios, Chief.
Put those dwarfs back in the ground where they belong. Hell yeah.
That's right. Sorry, your initiative nil.
Bye-bye. Oh, man. Anyway. Yeah, that game was insane. I do appreciate what 40K is nowadays compared to what 8th edition fantasy was. I will say that.
It's a lot cleaner. I'll tell you that.
That is true. Absolutely. All right, buddy. You got a tournament coming up next week.
I am going to LVO, and I'm running John's WCW list. So people know this list. I'm not surprising anyone with this. I've kind of been pretty vocal about what I am taking. But yeah, I'm just gonna, like, for those that don't know this list, I'm just gonna run through it real quick. I'm taking an apothecary biologist with the blade driven deep. This is all in the Space Marines Vanguard detachment with my Ultramarines. He's going to go with Marnius Calgar in the Victrix Guard with a unit of 6 Boltstorm aggressors. I've got Uriel Ventress, who is going to go in with the company heroes. And then he's going to give his deep strike ability to the wonderful, the chonky, the Centurion Devastator squad, which is popping up and down. Joe, you can't boo them. You beat me, okay? Joe loves to talk about how bad he is at Warhammer and then kick my skull in with orcs. That's his shtick. And then it
didn't feel good the whole time, though. I'll say that much.
Well, I was having fun the entire time, and I lost. So you know what? That's the thing about this Vanguard list. At least 50% of the table is having a good time, right?
It gives you a ton of options, a lot of things to do, a lot of fun ways to interact. Yeah, it's a great list.
And then so many Insectors, 2 6-man plasmas, a 3-man bolter, and then 3x5 scouts and a Callous Assassin. So, like, in my greatest shame, my battle-ready Inceptors, which is 9 of them, are definitely blue tacked to the stands. Like that's how bad it is. Well, because I could have glued them, but both of you know my painting. That would kill me on the inside, knowing that I've just made it so much harder for myself to paint like the details around where the base stem kind of like pokes into their butt. So we're blue tacking, baby. I'll do it right later. I don't have time right now. But yeah, so this is the list I'm taking, which, as Jack alluded to, with WTC practice, this is not what I'm running, right? Like they want me on a different army and I'm learning a new army. So
are you allowed to say what that army is?
It's CSM. It's going to change drastically from what I'm running right now. Post data slate, I am sure.
One hopes.
Yeah, I would actually genuinely be really upset if I got to run the same Chosen and Rhinos nonsense that everyone's been running and like continue to run with that. So I've not put together a single one of my Chaos miniatures, but there's a closet full waiting right there.
Okay.
So once that slate drops.
What are you going to be painting them as?
Black Legion.
All right.
I'm a poster board kind of guy.
Yeah. On teams of 8, it's a little hard to be the Marine guy because everyone has a pocket Marine army. And they all conflict for a slot.
Yeah. And you know what? Hey, Marines is just one of the options I have now. I can do CSM. And actually I've scrapped with Noah's CK list as well. And like I did all right with that. So, we got options.
Nice.
And Ryan, I am with you so hard on that.
Please.
Goodbye, Chosen. Goodbye, Forge Fiends. Ta-ta, cultists.
How about this? If you overcharge the Forge Fiend and you roll a 1, you actually take 12 mortals instead of 3. How's that sound?
Oh, jeez.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, if you roll 2, a second Forge Fiend somewhere else dies. You actually can't take it to your next game.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're cooked. Yeah. You actually have to just smash the model. It's like old school Pog rules. Like you lose it. Your
opponent gets to huck it across the room. Has to even. They're not allowed to not.
Absolutely. So yeah, this is my LVO list. I am going to LVO to go see some friends, to roll some dice. I will have literally been on an airplane for, like more than 12 hours. And I haven't even done the math on time zones to see what kind of messed up I'm going to be. So I'm really just going to
from West Coast to UK, yeah,
and back. So really, I'm just showing up and having fun with my friends, and I will get to see the lovely Jack Harpster there. But Jack, why don't you tell the folks at home what you're going to be doing in LVO?
Yeah, so I'm going to be playing my WCW list. It's Black Templars. Oh, psych! I'm actually going to be commentating. I'm going to be commentating with War Games Live Joe on War Games Live. It's going to be great. He reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I need a co-host. I'm looking for a co-host. Would you want to, by any chance, want to commentate?" And I said, yes, I would like to. So I think that's going to be a hell of a time. I get to go. I get to go hang out with people I know. I get to go to the event. I get to see how everything happens. I get to commentate on it and chat with everyone. And I don't have to be quite as stressed as I was last year because I was literally dreaming about my next. I literally before top 8 had a dream in which I dreamed I was playing. So I knew my pairings. I knew I was playing into Tau, and I know if I'm playing on Sisters terrain, we're good. If I'm playing on industrial terrain, I lose. And I literally the night before top 8, I just had a dream where I walked down and we're playing on industrial, and I'm like, I'm not doing that again. I'm good. I want to commentate instead. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, that is fair play. Fair play. So you're commentating. I have given up all hope. But for those people that are trying to go in and win it all, what words of advice do you have in terms of prep, Jack?
Just to be clear, it's a very stressful event when literally the result, when you're going to try to like win it, and the results of that affect who wins the ITC.
Yeah,
because I did win it last year, and that was what I needed to win the ITC for last year. But if I flamed out at any point, both of those would have fallen away. So that's where all the stress comes from.
Yeah, very all or nothing.
Yeah. So words of encouragement or words of advice for people who are going, well, list submission closes tomorrow. So if you're going and you don't know what you're bringing, you're in a bit of a pickle, but not an unsolvable one. There's plenty of times where people are waffling between what should I take, right? People usually have like 2 or 3 options, and they're wondering, which of my armies do I take? Do I take the really good one? Do I take the one I'm more familiar with? It's usually the dichotomy there, right? Somebody has played an army quite a lot, and they know it and they love it and they have it well painted or whatever. But then they're staring at Eldar or CSM or what have you, various flavors of Marines, probably the top 3 armies in that order, almost certainly top 3 armies. And they're saying, well, am I tricking myself? Am I cheating myself out of having, some amount of win percentage by not playing the top armies? And the answer I came to last year is, I think you just play what you are most comfortable with, as long as it's not like Drukhari and you're not Skari. If it's like Drukhari, then yeah, probably you do want to probably not play that. But if it's, if like last year,
Uh-oh.
no.
I got attacked by my cat, and by attacked I mean he just walked on the cord.
Oh, nice.
I'm looking at you. All right. Last year, I was debating, what do I take? Do I take Thousand Suns, which were the best army at the time, right? Thousand Suns plus Flamers.
Yeah.
Do I take Harlequins, which are really good, and I enjoyed them quite a lot. The 8-boat variant, when Twilight, you run around, you hit them in a million places, you do a bunch of damage.
Oh, I remember you crushed me with that.
Oh yeah, the list was super
fun. Beautiful.
Or do I play Blood Angels, which was the army that I'd known about, like that I'd been playing off and on throughout the season, and I ultimately settled on Blood Angels, even though some of their matchups are a bit wonkier, largely because if things get weird, I know them better than anything else. And so, because LVO is a more random event than most.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very wide breadth of people, which means you can play literally any army. There's no like local metas to distract from it. In addition, what matchup you have on what mission, and then on what mission on what table, because the table matters quite a lot too. So if you're playing Tau and you're playing on Industrial, well, that's a bad game for you. The Industrial board is very wide open. And a lot of the terrain has holes in it, so even if you place it down, you won't really be able to hide necessarily. Whereas on Sisters terrain or the Chaos Gate tables, they're very closed off. On something like the Necron board, they're very open. Field base, same deal. So what you get in every game is very random. And what that means is you're going to be well served by an army that you know the best. So ultimately, if you're waffling right now, I would say take whatever army is closest to your heart, basically. And that familiarity will do well for you.
That's very solid advice. Very solid advice.
You're playing
are
Ultramarines.
The tables
Exactly.
like completely random? Like, are they organized by like rows, or is it just total coin flip?
No. So yes, it's completely random which one you get. There's like 6 different tables. God, have I not played on an ITC terrain, an FLG terrain setup since last year? I think Cherokee, right after LVO. So it's been almost a year. So what happens is you show up to the table and you find out, when you show up, you find out which terrain setup you have. And they're not all created equal. They're not like just slight reskins of each other. They vary significantly in terms of how they impact the game. The Sisters table, it's a Sisters Monastery themed board. Looks super cool. It is very closed down. There's a lot of walls. There's a lot of buildings you can place down that are like circles and with one door in the back that you can go in. There's another one that's like a rectangle with one door in the back you can go in. And so on Sisters terrain, you just can't see anything. It is super easy to hide and super easy to hide on objectives. Chaos Gate, not quite as much as Sisters, but it's got a lot of walls. It's got a lot of thick, solid, tall walls that just block line of sight really, really well. And it's just hard to see anything on that board. Conversely, as I said, the industrial one is probably the worst one. But field base is pretty nasty too.
Now, Necron is pretty horrible too.
True, they are kind of the trifecta of getting
Yeah.
shot to pieces. Industrial is the worst in my opinion, in terms of getting shot. So there's a lot smaller ruins. They tend to, you can't go in them. They tend to be blockier, or they have windows. They tend to be more round, so it's harder to hide behind them. You can get shot. And they tend to have holes in them, so it is much tougher to actually like hide behind them. On industrial, no lie, the tables vary a little bit inside the archetypes. Like industrial table A is not the same as industrial table B. They're not stratified. They just get to the table, they throw out a couple pieces, too small, too big, two hills or whatever. No lie, you can find tables in industrial where you just can't hide. Just can't hide. Or you can hide, but like, because you can't place the terrain on the objective puck. The terrain is so big that you can't like realistically hide on the objectives. That's the thing that happens. So that's what I mean by it's random. You show up, those are two incredibly different games.
Yeah.
And then you have the matchup going on. So knowing what your army, having an army that is well-rounded is also good. If you run a pure shooting army and you end up on Sisters terrain, you're screwed. If you run a pure combat army and you show up and it is industrial, you're in trouble. But if you run, so something like this list here has a good amount of combat, has a good amount of shooting, can apply that shooting even if there's a lot of walls, because you can 3-inch deep strike and shoot and advance and shoot and things like that. So it's good even if there's light terrain. It's good even if there's heavy terrain. It's not as good as like World Eaters on heavy terrain or Custodes on heavy terrain, but whatever, that is what it is.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, that's very true. A well-balanced army is gonna like fare better in all of them, but you also could just have a weird path where you end up on, all one type of terrain for the most part.
Yeah.
Although they tend to put some of the better tables kind of in the top table.
I think it skews, but I don't think they. I think last year they like randomized where you were placed, so like the top tables had more of the better terrain sets.
Yeah,
but they didn't assign table number based off of placing. So if you were like 3-0, you could still get table 540, right? Because it was random.
right. So ultimately still random.
Yeah, I don't know how they're doing it this year. I've not been included on that, but be prepared for anything. Anything can happen.
Advice.
So yeah.
So the bad terrain tables that can't be mitigated at all by being player placed.
It can be mitigated a little. Like if you and your opponent both play reasonably well, most of the time you're fine. But on some of the really lighter ones, there is only so much you can do with player place to play around it. On industrial, on field base, on Necrons, even if you place the terrain, there's only so much you can mitigate it.
Yeah. And with some of these pieces, Joe, the footprint is so big. Like there is only one or two configurations that kind of will actually fit. Right. So there's only so many places certain things will go on certain tables.
Yeah. And it might seem like having a really big piece of terrain is beneficial for you, but if it's big enough with a big footprint, you can't put it on the center of a piece of terrain and you can't put it on your opponent's half at all. So what that means is if you have to be fully behind it, let's say it's 6 inches deep and the objectives are on the center line, you just can't hide behind it on the objective. Because if you put it on the objective, it's going to, right, here's the objective. If you can't put it on the center line, you have to put it like here. You can't hide on the objective. So oftentimes you'll just get spaced off of objectives that way, or you have to use things that don't actually block line of sight very well, like cargo containers. Like you put down cargo containers, they're small enough you can still fit it on the objective and then maybe fit some stuff behind it, but it's not hard to like hop up to the top of the building and see over it or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not usually too hard to prevent them from seeing onto your home objective, but some of the terrain sets, even that can be a little sketchy.
So are the number of pieces on each table different as well? Some of them are of varying sizes.
No, the number usually stays about the same.
Okay.
Usually about the same. It's mostly the midline objectives.
Yeah.
How many of those can you actually put terrain on to block line of sight and while you're on the objective? That's usually where the disconnect comes in. So like on Chaos Gate, there's a narrow wall and it makes an L. You can easily just put that in the center objective and have a perfect point to just plant like a big unit of Blade Guard or a big unit of Terminators or something on the objective, and they can't see you at all. But like a big house with windows in it, you can't put that on the objective and hide behind it. You have to either put it on the objective, go in the house where they can see you and shoot you, or just not put it on the objective at all. If that makes sense.
Yeah, FLG player placed. It's definitely something else. I can't say I've played it in 10th edition, so I mean I've done a couple practice games, but like I've not played a full event. So this should be interesting to say the least.
Of player placed?
Not in 10.
Yeah, me neither.
Really?
Yeah, 9th was like, I mean, it kind of was the best practice in 9th almost. Like I think the majority of local or even regional tournaments that I'd like drive to were all player placed. And that was kind of the norm. But gotta hand it to G-Dub. I really enjoyed all the G-Dub open terrain sets. I'm exploring WTC. I'm loving that as well. So there's a lot of different options, but yeah, well, I'll let you know how I feel about it when I come back.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I will
So
say
Jack,
as a final note, I think 10th edition helps a lot of that terrain set, a lot of those terrain sets, because the problem with Industrial was that there's a lot of holes in the walls. So if your opponent runs up to them and touches the terrain feature, they can just see you. Whereas that's not how it works in 10th. You have to be wholly in the terrain, so they can't actually see through the terrain. We'll have to see how much that makes a difference, but it should help on those boards.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't actually really quite grok that, but I think, having to be fully on the terrain feature, which is kind of not necessarily possible with all of those ones that have a lot of holes anyway. So
no, they're definitely a lot of that terrain was like made for 8th edition. As FLG expanded out to try and have a big LVO, which had its own effects on the scene, which I think was really good. They did make a lot of terrain then, and then they've been introducing their newer sets, which I think are quite good. But because LVO is so big, they don't have enough of those sets for everything.
Yeah.
When they have those big tournaments all over the country, are they like bringing all the terrain around in a trailer, or do they make it for each event and leave it like somewhere local?
No, I think they have a warehouse that they drive it out of.
Yeah.
I know this because and like they kind of saved the day, but at the G-Dub Tacoma Open this past year, the G-Dub team, like just the mats didn't show up. So they had to okay, who do we know that could have that many mats? So they called up FLG, and FLG was like, with no hesitation, threw all their mats from the warehouse into a truck and drove overnight to make sure that event happened. So they've got a warehouse and they've got it figured out. Kudos to the FLG boys for making sure that event went smooth. And yeah, so I think there's got to be a warehouse somewhere kind of between, I guess, Tacoma and Vegas, close enough to drive.
Right. What you got a game plan for some of your common matchups here, buddy?
Well, I mean, honestly, that's the thing with this list. It's very toolboxy, right? So Eldar, I am hoping my good friend Marshall, who I'm looking forward to catching up with, LVO, is saying they're based in Vegas. So that makes perfect sense. Thanks, Marsh. So I mean, I've got a plan for Eldari, of course, and that plan is very different depending on if the incarn is there. But you and I have played this game with Eldar before, haven't we, Joe?
Yes, and you smoked me.
Yeah, so I think I've got that matchup like as figured out as I can. Of course, terrain and whatnot's going to be a big factor there. I kind of love that the Avatar is becoming more popular because I actually think this list really likes when there's no incarn.
I just can't even imagine not taking the incarn. Good lord.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, that's madness. But I mean, Quentin's been liking the Avatar, and he's pretty good with Eldar, so I'm not going to poo-poo him.
There's a reason to take the Avatar, possibly even a very compelling reason. Basically, the Incarn has some damage output issues, consistency issues on output, and is less durable, right?
Yeah.
Toughness 10 and only 5 attacks means that occasionally she goes into a vehicle, doesn't kill it. Occasionally goes into like a 5-man squad of something, doesn't kill it. Only D6 plus 1 damage. Yeah, I'm sure you can, you should, like the average is probably that you do, but a couple extra 1s and 2s and you don't. And only toughness 10 with 12 wounds versus toughness 12 with 14. And the Avatar has an extra attack, and the Avatar actually shoots really hard because the Avatar has 1 shot, but is sustained D3. So you shoot on Overwatch, and you sub in a 6 Miracle Die 6, and all of a sudden it's D3 plus 1 hits, and then they have a wound reroll, and it's AP 4, and it's D6 plus 2 damage. So you walk over, you smoke a vehicle with that. Overwatch, you smoke another vehicle, you charge in, you drop a bunch of attacks on something, and you're tougher to kill in response.
Yeah. So against a lot of matchups, he's like objectively better. But I think in this one, I just like to be able to play Warhammer, not Where's the Incarn, which is my least favorite game. I hate that game so much, Jack. But I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it. Should it happen? I just I wonder if jet-lagged casts will be ready for it.
Listen, I'm just saying, if you took my list, you just drop the aggressors and blow up the Incarn with fire discipline. But
this is
you
true.
want to go with John's list? That's fine. I'm just saying.
You know what? It did come down to models. But hey, I loved and respected your list because when my friend needed a Space Marine list,
giving you crap, man. This list is phenomenal. Don't.
Well, I gotta say though, kind of hearing how your Black Templar list played made me really ready to play with my CSM list.
I mean, come on, if you're not playing Ultramarines, what are we doing?
Right? Who am I even?
Who are you? But carry on. What are you going to do against those evil elves?
Against against the elves, it's really just making sure that I am staging well with the aggressors so that I don't get wraith guarded away and scoring the points. Kind of like playing the long game. I mean, that's the thing with this list. I want all 5 rounds. Like I need every round of Warhammer that I'm playing in each game to score my points. And the times that I've lost in practice games have been where I've kind of hit the go button a little too hard, a little too fast. Quentin really made me pay for that one when I was playing against him. Oh man, he 20-0'd me because I got a little cocky there. Yeah. It was the same list I had you play against Joe, like that same Incarn list. And he just like wiped the floor with me because I hit the go button a little too hard, a little too fast, and that was it.
Quentin doesn't mess around, man. I'll tell you.
For it. No, he do not. But I think as long as I'm patient, I can win that matchup. And honestly, like CSM, it's not too different, except they're coming at me a little bit hotter, a little bit faster. But you can't hit me if I'm not there. That's what I love about this list. And feed scouts into the grinder to move block rhinos and shoot them from far away and make up my points where I can. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't have too high of hopes though, because I played this army enough to know that it requires a lot of brain power, and definitely concerned about how much brain power I will have at the event. But who knows? I might surprise myself.
What do you think the meta is going to look like heading into LVO?
If you asked me 2 days ago, I would have said a lot of Canoptic Court Necrons.
You can still see Canoptic Court Necrons.
I think so. I think a lot of people
top end matchup issues.
Yeah, Yeah. So I think we're gonna see some Necron builds.
Oh, did that FAQ go into effect for LVO then?
Yes, it did.
It did.
Rules
There
cut
are
off
some
was
people
today.
who are very not happy about it for sure.
Didn't something like that happen last year too? It was like
Well,
the day.
it was the day before the rules cut off that they changed the Space Marine points. I think they changed a bunch of points, but as a Space Marine player, that's really what impacted me. And LVO opted to not use it. And so like that was the last hurrah for like Armor of Contempt Space Marines before points drops happened. So yeah. It actually didn't work out too well for me, but I understood why they did it. And yeah, like I think this one came out very much in mind for LVO. I empathize with the folks that like went to town, painted up all of those immortals to leverage that rule, that stratagem, and that now cannot do that. Like I feel for you, man. I do know what it's like to sit there and hit the paint desk till 2 a.m. every night, and then just to find out that like, oh, that combo doesn't work the way it used to. That sucks. But I do think it's gonna work out just fine for Necron players.
Yeah, I get it, right? Like it sucks, but like the rules cutoff is what you said today, and then so it's unfortunate that it dropped right when it did for you. I do actually feel for you, but that it's unfortunate. That's how it worked.
Yeah, but I don't think we've seen anything that's going to really change the top level supremacy of Eldar CSM too much, to be candid.
No, they're definitely the best two for sure. So going in, I would expect to see a lot of those two and Marines of various flavors. Marines are very good. But yeah, CSM, and particularly the MSU variant, so like 3 units of Chosen with 3 units of Legionaries, with Lords in Rhinos, with like 2x2 of Blitz and 2 Forge Fiends, and then some Nurglings and like Cypher or something. That's the MSU variant, and then there's the Accursed Cultist variant that Manny played at the WCW. That's a completely different variant. Those are probably the two I'd expect to see at CSM. Eldar, some real innovators out there running, finding the best way to run 10 Wraith Guard and 3 Night Spinners.
They've had a bit of runway to perfect that too, just a bit.
Yeah, you can decide if you want the Incarn and the Avatar both, maybe. I don't know. And then there's Marines out there, and there are legitimately 8 million different Marine builds that you can take. So, I mean, we're seeing Ironstorm all over the place. We're seeing the Gladius occasionally. I think the Gladius is very underutilized. I think it's an incredible list. Then we're also seeing the Vanguard, which is also insane. People love the Ironstorm, they love the Firestorm, but man, I really think the Gladius and the Vanguard are where it's at. But that's me personally.
Those are the two that are nearest and dearest to my heart too. So I feel you rather.
And then Necrons are pretty good. Necrons step all over Eldar, but probably run into some problems into everything else at the top end.
CSM especially.
CSM especially. World Leaders really trounce them. There's probably World Leaders are probably like next down on the list there. World Leaders are very good. They have great objective control, a lot of pressure. They hit very, very hard. They move very, very fast. So that's really good. And then there's like 8 or so factions and kind of like right below them. So you can hit basically anything. The meta's kind of open.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say, I mean, we've had a lot of Eldar supremacy this edition, but it doesn't feel like the meta's in a horrible place right now. I will say I have liked every codex that's come out. I feel like things have not been OP, things have not been obvious. With the change to Canoptic Court as well, like who could say which is, there is no objectively best, in my opinion, Necron attachment. Like Hypercrypt has a lot of cool, neat tricks where you can do with Satan spam. Gaylord's running something with Awakened Dynasty. I actually haven't looked into that, but I'm sure it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're the first one to break Hypercrypt, you're going to do pretty good with it. There are some stupid rules in there. Really dumb rules. So if you're the first one to break it, you got some success coming your way.
Yeah. No, there's some gold in there. That's
the teleporting one.
Oh, that's the Vanguard equivalent of Necrons. Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically what if Necrons had Grey Knight rules.
Mr. Leduc says the worst part is that Necron players are stuck in a constant list change since the Codex forced a 180 on units.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true, Ryan. I personally, as a Space Marine player, have felt that from the drop of the edition too. Just like with meta shifts, with whatnot. So I empathize. I am so burnt out from painting Ultramarines that I very aggressively empathize with you.
Yeah. Now it's all about Wraiths, right? Wraiths got hugely buffed. Reanimation got pretty nerfed. So instead of having this like monodimensional reanimation strategy, now it's kind of a monodimensional Wraith strategy. The Catan are pretty good, but it is a complete pivot in terms of which units you're taking. That does suck. And then the fact that it's a pivot right before the list submission, that also sucks. So yeah, for all the Necron players out there, I am sorry. But
come find me and tell me you're a Necron player. I'll buy you a beer at LVO.
Wow, man, you are just open checkbook going into this tournament. Jeez.
Let's go. It's Vegas, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I still think you can find quite a bit of success if you do manage to find it and put together like 18 Wraiths and a couple of Catans. That list is not necessarily something you may have already had in your back pocket. And in that case, that is a little on the rough side. That list trounces Eldar, just ruins them.
Trivially.
You move on to the objectives. They don't kill you. They're your objectives now. You score 15s. They score 5s, if that. And you'll find the points. You'll find secondaries somewhere in there. So, yeah, because Wraith Guard shoot you and kill 3 or something, and then you reanimate 1. You tell them they can't shoot outside 12. You move when they get close. A lot of their trash doesn't do anything. Their indirect doesn't do anything. Yeah. You stay on objectives while they slowly whittle you down as fast as they can, which isn't that fast.
And GG.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. It's a little rough into CSM. It's a little rough into some variants of Marines, the higher damage output ones like Templars, like Righteous Crusaders or the Gladius. And it's rough into World Eaters. So that's not a great selection of armies. It's rough to have matchups into, but you really do smoke Eldar.
And one thing I will say about LVO or any event this big, your win path can look really different. You can get lucky with the pairings and face armies that are not bad matchups. So just because an army has, 1 or 2 horrendous game-ending matchups doesn't mean that you're not going to have a good run.
Yep.
What is the tiebreaker metric?
I don't know. You'd have to check the player pack.
Okay.
Yeah, I would guess. What I've seen most frequently in tournaments lately is opponent game win percentage, but I'm not sure FLG's doing that.
So I've seen a couple things. I've seen points destroyed generally isn't that popular. What the GW events have been doing is you play a 6th turn and you don't really do anything in that 6th turn except count how many objectives you can hold. You don't get secondaries or anything. You just, all right, I take my turn. I held 3 objectives at the end of my turn, and then your opponent and sees how many they can hold. It's a bit wonky because what happened to John and the reason he got knocked out was because he sold out his army on bottom of 5 because there's no more turns in the game, right? And then there was another turn in the game. That's not ideal. Yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really bizarre way to do it when the game's so structured around 5 turns.
Yeah, usually when that comes up, you don't really need to play the turns. one person will clearly win it.
Yeah.
Like one person put their army like on all the objectives in the open in front of their opponent because it's bottom of 5. And then they're just like, well, I have like 2 units left and you have like 8. So yeah, we're good here.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
other ones, yeah, opponent game win percent. I don't know. There's a couple. You have to check the player pack. It'll probably be in there.
100%.
Sometimes rock, paper, scissors happens.
Or if people refuse, sometimes a dice roll.
Kaz.
Nothing. Just personal trauma, people. Don't worry about it.
Walks over and rolls a 4 up and sees what happens. Yeah, you win. Why not?
Well, you know, there's many methods. There's many methods.
One of these.
So,
days
Jack,
we'll win a tiebreaker, bud.
Yeah, one of them. Or maybe I just I will aspire to not tie my games. I'll go
Good
hard
idea.
and either win or lose. No ties.
Hell yeah.
So, Jack, what is one non LVO related thing that you're excited about, not just for LVO but for the new year?
Well, I'm in a new city now, which is super dope. I moved out of Tallahassee, which is not my cup of tea as far as cities go. Been there, I was there for 3 years, and nothing against the city. I just don't like it very much. And now I'm in a much bigger city. I'm in Orlando, so I'm liking it so far. I mean, I've been here for 2 days, but it's great.
Nice.
Awesome. It's been a good 2 days.
It's been great. Looking to find a new gym. I played a game into Quentin today we recorded a game that'll go up like in a couple weeks. So I'm getting back into the swing of things. My apartment hopefully will stop looking like it is, a Minecraft house with all the boxes everywhere, but we're getting there.
That takes some time. Yeah, that takes more than 2 days. What about me?
A little bit.
I am just honestly, I'm looking forward to the WTC grind and like, as a faction specialist who I know you don't believe exists. I have been really enjoying kind of opening and broadening my horizons in 40K. Like I've only been playing CSM and Chaos Knights for a few games, but even that, like I am looking at the game differently. So I can't wait to see like what kind of player I am at the end of the year.
Sweet.
What about you, Joe?
The WTC grind is going to be fun.
Oh yeah, that's something, man.
Man, I don't have a whole lot going on, but I'm excited for an Orc Codex coming out sometime in the next couple months.
Hell yeah!
Give me more attacks on Mega Knobs.
More than 2? Yeah, that'd be dope.
Oh, it's just so bad. Like an Orc boy has more attacks than like the War Boss's bodyguards. Come on, man.
Yeah, the game I actually recorded today was Orcs. That was
oh, nice.
Fun. Yeah.
What is your game plan for Orcs, Kasra? Because here's what's going to happen. A beast boss on Squigosaur is going to run up to Calgar and epic challenge him and punt him up into orbit.
Well,
Beast boss on Squigosaur is going to kill something?
Oh, man. Yes, he is.
No, you know what's going to happen, Joe? I'm not going to be as nice, and I won't remind them that they need to kill the Victrix card first. And so they'll do that, and then I will have a 4-up Feel No Pain, and I'll be just fine.
Oh, man.
You heard it here first, folks. No, you have, through kicking my butt a number of times, you have trained me well against Orcs.
Right.
You've trained me well, my friend, so
good.
I'll be ready. Alrighty. Well, I got nothing else. I gotta go get ready for a TTS game.
Yeah. All right.
Jack, thank you so much for joining us, man. Love you, brother.
I'm looking forward to seeing you in Vegas. It'd be a good time.
I'm sure your reputation precedes, but where can people find you at, Jack?
So you can find me over at The Art of War. So theartofwar40k.com. You can check us out. We have a YouTube channel, Art of War 40K, where we put up a lot of videos during the week, as well as one stream game a week. And then we have a website, thewarroom.vhx.tv, where we put up we put up 2 more stream games, so that one and then 2 additional stream games every single week, as well as harder hitting content like master classes for each faction. And I have a theory video series that goes up every week, where I should be starting that back up now that I'm down here, where I just go on about a topic of theory, like a theory sort of thing, like board positioning and staging points and firing lanes and stuff like that, and tempo, as well as 10-minute tips and theory. Like, we just have a broad variety of videos to help get you better at 40K. But if you want to check that out, there's a 3-day free trial on the website, so you can give that a shot at thewarroom.vhx.tv. Sorry, it's been a second since I plugged. I'll also be live this weekend, or this coming one, right? So the one after this next one, on War Games Live, who is a channel I cannot plug enough. Not related to us, like, I'm not earning any money off of this. I just think Joe is the goddamn best.
Yes,
War Games Live is a great YouTube channel. You can go there. He travels around the country in an RV, and he goes to different events and puts on a high quality stream setup to help, like, put you at that event. You can see what's going on. You can see who's playing, who's winning, what's going on. And he's very personable. He's a great guy, very friendly, and I love Jeff personally. So I'm going to be on his channel with him, co-commentating the Las Vegas Open, biggest event of the year. Maybe. I'm not going to check that.
We'll go.
Probably.
I think so.
The biggest event of the year.
I do think so.
So tune in a week and a half, and you will see just some great 40K.
Thank you. I can attest that Joe is awesome. I gave him a ride to the airport, and he taught me what a carpool lane is, because I did not know.
Oh, Joe.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Jack, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
To check out the other shows on the network, everyone. Best in Faction Next Generation, I believe, has got a show coming up here in 2 or 3 hours. And This Week in 40K is obviously every week. So thank you, and have a good night.
Night, everyone.
Night.